We're back, continuing this perspective from the cut. 35-year-old female bisexual bartender giving advice regarding flirting. So, definitely a respectable perspective so far. I'm 1/3 ways into the article. I don't completely agree with everything she has to say, but I also respect all of her perspectives so far. And as a guy, I'm always looking for the female perspective. Always. Like, it just makes sense. Like, it's like, why if you're a single guy and you're interested in women, you should take advice from women and maybe, a man who has something that looks good to you. So, all right. But anyway, we're on point number 3. Try some light touch. And she says here's where you have to remember that straight men, specifically, are very simple creatures. Okay, so, yeah, in terms of wanting sex, yes, very, very much so. And, I guess here, when it comes to touch, she's going to have to get specific and give different advice for men than women, which I think is fair. But she goes on to write that if you touch their knee, they're going to respond and they're going to probably want to fuck you. I'm not saying that's a good thing. These guys can be total buffoons when you're just being friendly and they assume it means you're going to bang. But let's assume this is a straight male buffoon who you're actually interested in. Little knee touch mid-story is a good move. Okay, so, to make that clear, don't touch a guy if you're not flirting. Because it is considered the ultimate sign of flirting. And we've read that. Like, in just about every sign she's interested, the number one sign is touch. And I would think, considering, she's not flirting with you, she's very comfortable with you if she's touching you, because, after all, women are the ones more likely to be inappropriately touched, by a man, and inappropriate touch can mean a lot of different things. So, and I'm not gonna even dive into all that, but so when someone of the sex who gets, their physical space violated more often than a guy, to put it lightly, it can happen to guys too, but happens to women more. So I would think if a woman who barely knows me touches me, okay, she must be very comfortable with me. And if she's very comfortable with me, she feels safe with me, that's a big deal for a relationship. And so I guess where my mind is. Like, you could say I'm not looking for a quick fuck, but I'm thinking she's interested in me romantically. I'm not into hookup culture. I've never participated in it. I don't have the skills for it, and I'm probably better off for it. So I think touch is the ultimate flirting. So I'm gonna skip the part. Well, no, I'm not gonna skip the part about her advice regarding women, even though it doesn't apply to me. I find it interesting. She basically makes it sound like you have to be more careful if you want to touch a woman. Like, wait, let me fix this piece of hair, and just brush her bangs to the left a bit, or something like that. And you got to be delicate, and if the person seems uncomfortable by being touched, even for a millisecond, apologize immediately and don't do it again. So I think that's good advice, and I think men should take note of that too. Like, it's makes sense. So, based on everything I said earlier before reading that part, because they have to be more sensitive to it, just because they're more likely to be victims of assault sexual assault than a man would be. So they're not going to be as comfortable being touched. She doesn't even go into any of that in the article, but I'm pretty sure that's why you have to be more careful with women than men. So, now, she does go on, and she's going to give the queer perspective here. It's what she identifies as. I thought bisexual, but she says, in my experience, if you're queer, you're going to be better than most at the flirt game. You're going to cut through the bullshit more naturally. You're going to say, are you single? I think you're really sexy, and voila, it's either happening or it's not. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I know, I've known a decent amount of gay people in my life, and they move quickly when it comes to hooking up. Like, you can get much more instant results on Grindr than Tinder for a reason. So, not sure what it just... But I didn't know it was the same way with women in the community. I don't know as much about... I know more about gay people than lesbians. Just a little more. But anyway, so, it's an interesting perspective. But number 4, don't get too drunk, especially if it's a first date. First dates are all so high stakes in this era because the dating inventory is so big and everyone is looking for red flags. It's like, you go on a first date not looking for a special connection, but instead to find out what's wrong with this person. So sadly, you have to handle a first date with precision instead of a carefree romantic approach, which means don't get too drunk. Don't show all your cards. You can float some things to make you human and unique, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but yeah, so, I mean, you shouldn't get too drunk, especially on a first date, because you don't know the person that well. That's, forget about the flirting perspective. Like, it's not safe if you barely know someone. Like, if this is someone you met online, now if this is someone you've known for a little while and it's just your first time going on a date, then maybe let your guard down a little more, be real. But also, I know if I get too drunk, I lose my filter and I'll say some stupid shit. And I wouldn't want that to happen on a first date with someone. So I think that's great advice. Her best advice yet. So now she says, as far as flirting goes, ask them to try your drink, take a sip, that kind of thing. She says, you can hint that you like sex or that sex is important to you if that's your truth. Okay, I hate the phrase your truth. There's the truth. There's reality. Your truth is a concrete statement of fact. Your perspective is an opinion. It's a preference, maybe, when it comes to sex. But your truth? Truthfully, that could change at some point. I don't know. I don't like the saying your truth. But, so that was good. So, and then number 5, and I take issue with this, but at the same time, it's honest. It's honest advice. And as a guy, it's kind of up to me to decide whether or not I want to play along with the game. And this is something I struggle with. And it's picking up their tab. If you like someone, buy them a drink or pay for their dinner. Okay, a drink, I could do one drink. A whole meal, I gotta know you pretty well. But anyway, she says it's simple. I can assure you at my bar, the girls want the guys to pay for them, as would I. Of course. Of course you would. Why wouldn't you? It's one of the double standards that works in your favor. And it's a tradition that started back when men were breadwinners and women didn't work. But now, you guys have gone out and empowered yourselves, which is great, I'm all about women working. But now that you're in the workforce and you have the same opportunities as men, you should pay for yourselves. And I'm tired of being called cheap for that belief. And with the way inflation is, I can barely afford to pay for myself. Like, I would love to go out more. And because every night I go out is a better chance of meeting someone, because here in my apartment, I have zero chance of finding love. But this idea that then I have to spend money. Not just myself, but whoever I'm interested in. No, if you're interested in me, I shouldn't have to pay for your attention. So, I really struggle with this one. And now, in her defense, she goes on to say that, write about how she once dated a struggling writer who was honest with her about his money situation, so he arranged a date on a park bench with some lemonade. It was basically a free date. And she loved it. But then she goes on to say, the kiss was nice, they ended up kissing, but I wanted to be friends nonetheless, and we are still great friends. So, basically, I'm not going to assume that the reason you didn't... I mean, you went on to say that you want a guy to pay for you. And I don't want to be simple enough to say that you're shallow and this is the only reason, because there could be other reasons that you only saw him as a friend. He might not have been very good looking compared to you. I don't know what you look like compared to him, any of that. But it'd be easy for a man to read this and say, oh, yeah, you went on the date with him, but ultimately he wasn't good enough because he didn't make money. And, studies have shown that women are less attracted to men who make less than they do. They want a partner who makes as much or more. Whereas men do not care about how much a woman makes. So there's that. And then we got one more. No boring texts. I think text flirting is pretty important to get right. It's a balancing act. Don't write boring text with no meaning or innuendo, but don't love bomb someone or send a million eggplant emojis either. Okay, yeah, I agree. I don't like texting conversations. I don't think text flirting should be a thing. I think that should go away. And we should go back to the 1980s movies with boombox serenades, or if you can play an instrument, but go back to the lawn, or at least a phone call where you can hear each other's emotions. Like, texting, you lose so much. You lose all tone. So, you have to be extra careful with your words, and I don't know, I'm not a big fan of texting. And, but, yeah, if anybody's out there, you want to leave your thoughts in the chat about your thoughts on the article, I'd be interested in hearing them. Otherwise, I'm going to wrap this up and go to my Reddit forum. So, but, all in all, I can appreciate, her name, Alyssa Shalasky, as told to Alyssa Shalasky. That I get confused. It says as told to, not as told by. So I don't know if that's her name, but I appreciate the perspective. Woman in my age range, bartender, so they see this stuff happen a lot, and she allegedly, she almost sounds, I don't want to say sounds like a female pickup artist, but that's another aside though. I feel like if a man wrote that article, he might be perceived as a pickup artist, and for her it's empowering. I don't know. But I guess that just depends on opinions. Like she's doing nothing wrong. So, I wonder if a guy could get the same respect if those exact words were his. I don't know. But, anyway, when I come back, I'm going to go to Reddit to give my unsolicited advice. Because they wanted the advice of fellow Redditors, not mine. Oh well, I'm coming for you anyway.